Hello. I was just told I was muted. I'm back. How are you? Happy night before Thanksgiving, you guys. Let's try this again. It's your girl, Elisa Perifico. I'm your resident host, date strategist. This is Matchmaker Live Dating Right Now 101, where I bring on all of my really cool date expert friends who know a lot about dating, relationships, all that stuff that that seems to be really difficult for you to get a date, get into a relationship, and what you should be doing. And I wanted to, I wanted to come on tonight. It's, tomorrow's Thanksgiving, okay? I wrote you guys a little poem. Ready? 'Twas the night before Thanksgiving, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring because you're fucking single. Am I right? It sucks. So we're here tonight because it's the night before Thanksgiving, and if you're single, it really sucks because you're either going to be talking to relatives or your parents or your friends or somebody who looks you straight in the eye every year and goes, "Why are you still single? Why is that so? You're just the cutest. I need to set you up with my insert name of person you definitely don't want to go on a date with." So, what is that being said? Tonight, I wanted to give a little extra love to the people who need extra love anyway. It's to those who get a little shy, who get a little nervous anyway, and on top of it are trying to navigate dating. So tonight, we're going to talk to you about how you can get the date, even when you're the shy guy, gal, when you're the nervous one, etc. And to know if you are the right person. Oh yeah, here we are. How to know if you that's all good. But so how to know if you're in the right place is a couple easy things, right? If you're in the right place, if finding love to you right now sounds absolutely petrifying or literally impossible, either one. You're also in the right place if you would not consider yourself a smooth criminal. And also if you would consider yourself a smooth criminal, ew. Or three, you're lost on how to approach dating right now, which regardless of who you are, is most people right now, because we are in unprecedented times, as we know. So what we're here to do here on Matchmaker Live is to give you a few tools to get through these quite annoying and difficult, unprecedented times, because they're real, and loneliness is real, and the isolation is real. And there's no need for it, because we are in the time of technology, which is plain and simple, actually, period. We are in the time of technology, period. So, if you're not in a relationship and you're looking for one, not only do you have the potential to be in one, you actually have the potential to be in a quality one, a good one, an intentional one, a more intentional, compatible relationship than your parents had potentially, because they didn't have the resources to find the right person for them. Right? Anyway, I digress. So, before we dive into all this, I want to ask a couple questions. And actually, before I ask a couple questions, the gal who I'm excited, she's going to come on a little bit later, but I'm so excited. I'm bringing her on. She's one of my favorite gals, and has become one of my good friends, Miss Janet. She is the Geek Whisperer. Miss Janet Moore, and she is here to break it all down about being geek and dating and relationships and the hurdles and what to do, what not to do, and what makes a geek in 2020, and what's the difference between past geek and present geek and all that kind of stuff. And so she'll come on a little bit later. But first, questions for you guys, as always, and I like to open it up with, what's the struggle? What's the latest, biggest dating struggle for you right now? And I want you to be super clear, and I want you to be honest. Write it down, type it out. But what is your biggest dating struggle? Is it approaching a love interest? Is it knowing where to start? Is it even knowing what you want in general? Have you started with these? Have you even asked yourself these questions? So those things too, write that down. Second question I have for you guys is, why does dating feel so dang tough right now, do you think? sit with that for a minute. And besides the obvious answer of, well, let me see, it's very difficult because we're in the middle of a pandemic and the economy's down and everybody online stinks and I don't know what to say and I don't know who likes this and who likes that. I hear you and I understand. And the reality is, though, I hear a lot of negative stuff. So if we could pull all those things out of your way and actually make them, I don't know, not even hurdles, but actually as aids for you, as tools for you, you would do that because that would be amazing. So a couple things. So I know you mentioned a couple things feeling tough, that you didn't know how to approach people or approach places or even just get out of your own way, right? I think on tonight of all nights every year is a very common night that people go, damn, I am in the same place I was in last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. Shit. So what's so eye-opening about this is that at a certain point, light bulb happens where they go, okay, I really want something different. I really want a relationship. I don't want to keep fantasizing about what I see in my TV shows that I watch, because that's also what happens. I really want something real, and I want somebody to actually be in my life of the flesh and blood and wake up with them in the morning and smell their hair and get in fights with them and throw bologna sandwiches at them. I don't know. So in reality, all these things you want, and the part that's missing is that you haven't taken the steps to get it, really. We just take, there's just excuses, but there's no steps. So that's what we do here. We strip down excuses and we make them into steps. So, and the last question I have for you guys before I bring on my girl Janet, who is gonna talk the talk with me and chat skeets. Question I have for you: where is your biggest weakness? Because let's be real, right? Like, all right, let's give a classic example. Superman, fix my hair. Superman's weakness is kryptonite. Obvious. So whenever we wanted to weaken him, they would give him kryptonite. Now, before everybody corrects me, obviously his character is metaphorical. He's not real. And so, but what we want to relate this to is that we all have these. And so when we identify what they are and really identifies what's not an actual weakness of yours, not a weakness, it's what you think your weakness is. Because what you think your weakness is isn't actually a weakness. It's just in your head. So when we put it out there, like if you think your weakness is that you don't know what to say, or that you don't have confidence, or that you don't know what you like, or all the above. Once you can identify these things, say them out loud and reframe it, then you've got a different way of approaching, and you've got a different sense of confidence. All of a sudden, you know what to say. All of a sudden, you know how to approach. It feels more instinctual than it does a play-by-play. Anyway, so what I want to get to down into a little bit deeper before I bring Janet on. Janet is amazing because she brings dating back into the fun, and really she just brings it for, especially as dating evolves. We're in 2020, right? We're in the world of tech. And so with the world of tech has actually evolved a new set of relationship tendencies, socialities, realities, really. We have a new set of people, more people who are in front of their computers more than ever before, who actually interact with people less than ever before. And now that we're all isolated currently, that is happening more than ever before too. So Janet's going to be here giving us some light and letting us know what she works with the geeks of the world, and what she does to help them get confidence and get into fabulous relationships. So without further ado, I want y'all to give a very geeky Turkey Day welcome to my girl, Janet, Geek Whisperer. Hey, girlfriend.
Hello.
What's going on, girl? Happy night before Thanksgiving. Did you like my poem?
Yes, yeah. I did. It was very awesome.
was funnier. It was funnier when I had said it randomly, and then I heard myself say it. Then I was like, well, hopefully it was remotely cute. But how are you, girl? Your hair looks good. Looking
thank
good
you.
as always. Yes. I'm so pumped as always to chat with you because you always make me smile and you always just bring me back to reality, because I feel like love can be just so heavy and relationships like so heavy and not fun. And then when we just really think about what it is that makes it fun, and then I think about, let's geekify this. Let's make it fun. Let's keep it just who you are, and always bring it back to center. So I would love for you to just tell us all, who are you, girl, and how did you become the Geek Whisperer?
Right?
Yeah.
How's that happen, right?
Right.
So I am a geek, and when I talk about geeks, to me, geeks are people that are techie people, like software developers, programmers, engineers, things like that. So when I say geek, that's what I mean. People, of course, usually those guys are people are into sci-fi, fantasy, techies, cool techie gadgets, things like that. So I have a computer science degree from the University of Texas, and was a software developer, programmer for many, many years. Became a Scrum Master, Agile coach. I've done it all pretty much aside of software development. So that's how I started. I used to be quiet and shy, if you can believe it. I know it's kind of crazy. If you know who I am today, you're like, what?
I didn't know you were quiet and shy.
But I would rather, like something like this, I would have rather died than get in front of people. Now it's like you can't get me off the stage. So, but before I had my transformation, I was quiet and shy. I think one of the reasons I picked computers, actually, it was easy and for me. It was fun. It was like a puzzle, trying to make a program go. But also because, doing things in front of people was scary, right? And so that's why I said that it was terrifying. I did a personal growth course, and one conversation got over this, and now that's what I teach because I got over it. So I feel like I can also help other people do the same. So that's kind of how I got started. I had a friend who said I was giving him advice on how to walk, how to talk, what to do, what to say to women. He goes, Jan, this is great stuff. You should do it for a living. And I'm like, really? And so this is a while back. And so that's when I decided to become a dating coach.
I love that.
And more recently, I've niched to my tribe. I've looked back on when I was doing dating coaching more locally in Austin. My best students were my geeks, were my tech guys. Yeah. They were the best. They knew they needed help. They were willing to do what I said, like give the advice, said, I suggest you do this. And they would just take it on. And then they had great results.
Yeah. Well, and that's I think what you just hit the nail on the head about, like what really is like a modern day geek, because the modern day definition of geek is somebody, it's really somebody that understands like this person puts their best foot forward no matter what they're doing. They thoroughly look at it and they actually like think through it. Like the geek is the thoughtful person that thinks through things no matter what they're doing. And so especially your students and your clients, those people who study well, they're ready, they bring energy, they bring intention. And also too, people who are very much not afraid to be themselves, and really own it. And so I think that's really just so celebrated in 2020. So I love that they have you as their queen of the tribe. You are queen geek of the tribe. I love it. Queen geek. Oh my God, it's so fabulous.
Well, the thing about geeks is so funny. When I tell even women, I specialize in single men in tech, right? That's what I say. I affectionately call geeks. When I tell them I do this, they're like, wow, I want to meet the tech guy. It's because these tech guys, these geeks, they're like you said, they're very thoughtful. They know what they want. They go for it, and they do their best. And I think they make great fathers because they want to really play with their children, things like that. Like they want to play and have fun. Like what a great, and also they're really sweet and kind and authentic. So they make great husbands and they make great fathers. So. Why wouldn't everybody want to marry a geek, right?
Right. And I think, and again, you're saying really the very obvious characteristics of why they're such we love them so much. But I think what a lot of it is too is a lot of the hurdles that they go through when they experience dating over normal people. And the reason that they go through these hurdles that you're about to, I'm about to ask you, actually is rolls into the next question. You know, what are the daily hurdles of a shy dater over a non-shy dater? And it's because they really put themselves in other people's shoes, and they show empathy, these sort of things, and not just like bullying over people, but I think that the ability to be, all these things that you're saying is so powerful. But in your opinion, though, I think this is important because I think there's certain struggles that shy people, geeks, people who spend more time with their computer than they do with people. What are some of the hurdles that they go through when they date versus people that aren't in tech or don't go through these things?
Well, so because they're so smart, they do a lot of thinking, right? I remember when I was in front of my computer making a program go, we have to think. You think all day long. You're thinking constantly to get this program to work. So you're having to think and use your brain in order to make it work, right? The solution, how to do it. So as you can see that they tend to be overthinkers. They think a lot. They think about, okay, I need to do this, then I need to do that, blah, blah, blah. So they're always thinking, and then they start actually predicting the future almost. Like they're going to say, okay, well, something maybe happened in my past, so that didn't go well, so I can't do that. So they just keep thinking, I got to think about what I need to say, what I need to do, what la la la. And before you know it, they're not even moving forward because then they basically talk themselves out of moving forward because of that. Does that make sense?
Yes. No, that makes perfect sense. And that's, no, go ahead. Yeah, no, that makes perfect. I mean, you're right. It's a little bit of they talk themselves out of it before they even move, and it's that powerful brain that they have in the first place because of what they do in the first place. That's actually put them in this position. So it's almost like the beautiful overthinker that they are, that's given them the ability to have this skill set that they have in tech. Has actually hindered their ability to not overthink when it comes to the places where it's not needed and frankly not necessary, which is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and in fact, I tell my clients, I said, stop thinking. I know it sounds crazy, but stop thinking. Just stop it. It's overrated. Just don't do it. But really, take that thinking part out and just go. Just move forward and just see what happens. And I like to also say, making an experiment. Just like to put it into the thoughts of, okay, well, that code, you got to do this and this, try it out. See if it's going to work. Test it out. So same thing. It's like, stop thinking and just move forward and make it be a game. Make it be a test. Let's see if this will work. Let's see if that'll work. Things like that.
Yeah. And I think you just actually mentioned a big one was they don't allow themselves to move forward. They almost like freeze themselves in times. But when they are on dates, and they put themselves out there, maybe when they're talking with someone and maybe they're texting, what are the big mistakes? Exactly. What are the big mistakes do they make when dating somebody new, whether it's online, whether it's in person, in your opinion?
Yeah, so they tend to, like you said, freeze. Like they just don't know what to say because they're thinking. A lot of times, what's happening is they're thinking in their head. Oh, and they're not actually paying attention to what's going on out there with the person, with the woman, right?
Yeah.
Or what's happening. So because they're always in their head, and that's why they freeze. And they freeze because they don't know what they're supposed to say because they probably weren't paying attention, or they're just in their head all the time. Okay, what do I say next? And it's like they really believe, especially with this pickup artist community, culture that has happened. They think there's supposed to be certain words you're supposed to say that are supposed to make a difference, and there really isn't. Really, it's just really being with the other person and being connected, just like really being and listening to the other person. But what they do is they're in their head thinking of what they're supposed to say next. So in a way, they look like they're freezing when actually they're just thinking. Yeah. Or they might actually, seriously, because they're thinking, they just freeze up and they just don't know anything to say. So they're just frozen. Or that's one scenario. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to say any more about that before I go to the next one.
Yeah, no, please, no, go for it. Go. I love it. Go.
So the next one is some of them get so nervous they just talk too much.
Yeah.
They just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and then sometimes it's just talking because they're so nervous so they just can't stop. And so then again, the key is listening. So if they're not listening, if they're talking, right? I can't talk, can't listen when you're talking. So that's kind of what happens too. So those are, to me, the two big scenarios is they're thinking so much, they're in their head, they're not being with the person, not listening to the other person. So it's really about listening. So if they're either not listening because they're thinking too much, worried about what they should say next, or they just start talking. And then of course they're not listening. So.
Yeah, and I think you correlated it beautifully. Just like pretend you're in class. Like when you're learning something new, you're absorbing information. Like you need to listen to it very specifically. So pretend this can't be that hard. Pretend your date is your really sexy professor in front of you, and she is teaching you a lesson, and you are getting at the end of dinner or end of whatever. So pay attention. Like seriously, like that can't be that hard. That's so funny. But I wanted to actually ask you another question about that and I think you really hit it too, and this has to go with them getting caught in their head. Can you talk a little bit more like and this goes to the guys who just maybe they're not super experienced, like they put themselves out there and it never really clicked for them, or it's been a long time. And so how would you recommend that geeks approach dating right now? Like in 2020, maybe it's just, they just don't know. Like, there's a lot of tools out there, but they just don't know which ones they should utilize. What do you think?
Yeah, so one of the big things I'm kind of focusing on right now is having people be dateable, getting ready to date. Like, are you prepared to date? Are you dateable? Like, am I ready to date? If you want to date a yoga instructor, you might look at yourself, am I ready to date someone like that? Depending on what you're looking for, of course. Are you ready to get out there? Maybe you have some baggage from your past. Maybe you're carrying that with you. Are you're going to keep having that same thing happen over and over unless you do something different, right? So really, to me, it's like looking at kind of going inward and going, what's going on with me that has me not move forward? Now, maybe you can't see it, so that's why you might need some help. But that's really the big thing is, are you dateable? Have you taken the time? Do you even know what you want? A lot of guys, they don't even know what they want. They say, I want a nice woman.
Yeah.
Well, they're kind of going to get what they ask for, that, or maybe not even, they're going to get maybe a nice woman, but not someone who likes sci-fi movies.
Right.
So it's kind of like focusing on what you want, knowing where to go find that person, and getting ready, like looking at where do I need to go? Like, if you go to a place, so I have a story.
Yeah.
I had a woman, back when I was just being a dating coach before, we do something called your Mojo Vibe exercise, which is, who are you and what do you want to project to others and make you memorable and unique, right? So she realized that, she had just become an empty nester. And so she realized that she loved to sail. That was her big thing, was sailing before her kids. So one of her words as a Mojo Vibe was sailor. So then we started looking at, well, where do sailors go hang out? They hang out at yacht clubs because that's what she wanted. She wanted someone, because she's a sailor, she wanted to have a sailor in her life because she loved it so much. So she started hanging out at yacht clubs. Well, guess what happened? She started dating men that had boats. And they would go sailing. Guess what? Now she's married to a guy that's a sailor, had a boat, and they actually live in that boat, and they sail around the world. So that's the kind of life that you can have, is that life. But you got to know what you want and what makes you happy. So kind of going inward and looking at what makes me happy. Maybe I never thought about what makes me happy. Like, really, what makes me, like, maybe something from the past that you kind of gave up on,
Yeah.
Who do you want to be now? And kind of put your life in alignment. Like, if you're going to have it, you need like a strategy, right? So you need a strategy and what you should do. So that's what we did. We came up with who is this person? Who am I? Where am I going to go now? What kind of woman do I want? And then move forward.
Yeah. I think we all learned the lesson on that one is, you want to go date a man with a yacht, you can just go sit yourself at a boatyard, girl. You better go sit yourself at a yacht club and you just sit there until it happens. There you go. That's a strategy. That's a pull away from everybody who wants to know. But you're right. It's really, it's funny. You're thinking to yourself, it's like, and this is great. This actually rolls well into the next question about, especially for those who don't have a ton of experience and they sort of fantasize what their relationship might be like. What's kind of the difference between, can you paint a little bit of a picture of like, hey, this is what real life relationships are actually like versus what you're watching on your shows or your comics or whatever it is, because that's important, right? Especially when you don't have a lot of experience. And there's so much tech that feels so real. honestly, these days. It's actually kind of confusing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, most of the guys that I talk to, they say they kind of want someone like themselves. But what's interesting, when I ask them what they want, they don't really say that. I'm like kind of what I mentioned before. They want a nice person, but they want someone that likes to do these things. So that's the thing. It's like getting it out of your head, like what I want, and like kind of, I like to say, write it down, what you really want, and looking at things that make you happy, and not just what society may say should make you happy. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes any sense.
100%.
So you see these shows, okay, well, everybody wants the hot girl, but the hot girl maybe has nothing in common with you.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk to them, but they can't talk shop with you. Maybe you want to be able to talk to a woman. Like maybe you do want a woman that can talk shop, like can talk to you about software development techniques, I don't know, or whatever, or can relate to you at least,
or tell a joke.
Maybe you don't want a woman that can do that. Well, whatever it is, but get kind of real with what you're looking for, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, once you figure out what you want, then you can we come up with a strategy where, that's what I put my clients on, is, okay, where would you go? Start going to those places, actually researching. You think about, like in marketing, we have to research where our clients might be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with going to find a woman. You got to figure out, well, first you got to know, like in marketing, you got to know your avatar. You got to know what's your ideal avatar woman, right? Mm-hmm. And be realistic about that, right? Like I said, if you want a yoga instructor, well, are you a person that can get a yoga instructor, you think? And if you're not, you might want to start doing something to be someone that can get a yoga instructor. I'm just saying.
I love it. No, I love it. I'll just call it out. My favorite was like, especially when I was matchmaking, these guys would be like, I just need like this size waist and then, this size boob. And I'm like, oh, because that's the size of your belly equals the size of her boobs. Is that how you do that ratio? Like, it's almost like, do you consider yourself an equal shape that you're looking for? I mean, just basically. And I think what you're doing is like putting it in the mirror, which makes the most sense.
Yes, it's about when I was talking about being, are you dateable for that, for what you're looking for? Are you ready? Are you prepared to get out there and go find, to attract that thing that you do want, Yeah. Are you being a kind of guy that can get that kind of woman? Yeah. Not only do you look at it or like have the whatever, but are you being that kind of man that that can attract that type of woman you look for,
Yeah.
So that's what then we would do is then, okay, now you have, okay, if you're not that, then you come up with a plan. How can I get to that from point A to point B, right? How do I get there?
Yeah. Well, that's and perfect, because I think this is important, because I think whether there's somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, or they need they're looking for steps, or they're like, okay, I hear you, you're asking a lot of tough questions, I never really considered those before, and now that I'm considering them, what do I do? That sounds very overwhelming, and you are literally the queen head professor of all the things that show people how to enter this scary world. So please tell us a little bit about ways they can achieve, how they can go from single geek to love geek.
Yeah. So again, kind of like I was saying before, looking at, you got to have a plan. You have a strategy. Like, who are you? Look, first of all, the first thing I actually do, in fact, I've talked to some men recently that told me that they went to other dating coaches before coming to me, and I was asked, they said it didn't work out, and I kind of asked how they go about doing things, and they don't really look at their past. They don't actually look at past relationships. They don't look at patterns and where limiting beliefs are, or some blocks that they have. So it's like looking at your blocks, the things that are keeping you from moving forward. What are those? Identifying those is huge. But now that you can see that, then you can identify. You can address them. You can see what happened. And I've been trained in EFT, NLP, and timeline therapy. All these different things that I can help you remove those. But anyways, just even identifying them is huge, right? So that's kind of a first step, is seeing, because if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to keep having the same results, right? Mm-hmm. If you keep having these limiting beliefs, nothing new is going to happen, right? So that's one thing. Then figure out, like I said, your mojo vibe. Who are you? What do you want to project? Maybe you want to create a new you. Maybe you're kind of you, but you want to maybe create a little bit more, something like from your past that you want to start projecting out and start being. So identifying, again, discovering, uncovering, maybe is a better word, from maybe what you maybe when you were a kid, you want to do this and now we bring it back,
Yeah.
So learning who that person is and then kind of having your life be in alignment with that new person you want to be. Because maybe your life isn't in alignment.
Right.
And that's why you don't have what you want. So
Right.
there's like, I have a whole list of things to do to get yourself in alignment, your life in alignment with that new you. Yeah. Next would be then again, like I said before, identifying who you want. We were talking earlier before we got on the show about, I think people spend more time figuring out the kind of car they want than they do the kind of woman they want to date.
Wow.
I mean, literally, think about it. Think of like when you go to buy a car, what do? You think about all the features you want. You think about, I want this color and I want this la la la. I want this. I want it to go. I want it to have electric or not. I want it to do, I don't know, all these different things you might think about. So when you go to buy a car, what do you do? No, because a lot of days you search and you go, you find it. But like even if you were just going to a lot, you go into a lot and you say, they ask you, what are you looking for?
Right.
I just want a car. Well, that's going to be really tough. Okay, well, here's a bunch of them right here. Which do you want? Well, so usually you go and you know what you want, and they kind of direct you in the right place, and then you kind of look around and see which one you think. So if you think of it as dating in the same way, right, you got to know what you want. So again, if you know what you want, then you can figure out. Then again, the next thing is figure out, okay, now that I figured out what I want, now we're doing that research that we talked about, going to get it, right? So.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, how do I figure out what I want? Like, how do they figure out what I want? I mean, are there talk a little bit about what you do? Like, how do you actually help these guys, these gals figure out what they want if they don't know how to figure it out? Because that's tricky too, right? Like, where do I know you're saying like write it down, but talk a little bit about your programs and what you do to help these gals and guys do it.
Yeah, so exactly. What I was just talking about is actually my strategy call. Cool. So what we do in the strategy call? So I have something called your Attraction Kickstart program. Attraction Kickstart. So it's getting you out there, getting you ready to date. It's becoming dateable, getting you prepared to date.
Yes.
And
ready. I love it.
Yeah. So the things that I just mentioned, that's what we will actually go through on that strategy call. So the first thing, there's 3 parts to it. It's the strategy call. You got to create a game plan. So we do the strategy call where at the end of it, you have a plan on what to do, like the steps. I'll walk with you, customize with you on those steps on what to do. We'll actually even look at the one thing I didn't mention is we'll look at how you look. You send me pictures of yourself on either dating websites or what you would look like when you go out on a date. I'll tweak you on how you can upgrade your image and style. Yeah. So again, you'll come up away with a plan. The next is you go on three meet dates. I call them meet mock dates. Meet mock dates with my dating feedback coaches. So I have some feedback coaches that have been trained to go on dates with you and then give you written and verbal feedback about how you're being perceived on a date, which is huge. Like when you like to go on a date with a woman, then afterwards maybe she doesn't want to go out with you anymore. She would tell you why. Right. So then you could maybe go, oh, I didn't know I did that. Right. So it's huge. So that's one of the things that we do. So you get to go 3. You get to practice 3 times, 3 different women. And you get to select the women. I'll help you, but you get to select the women you want to go on a date with. Then next, after that, you have that game plan. Well, instead of having you just go do it on your own, I have a month. It's a month-long weekly group coaching program where basically I keep you. What it really is all about is holding you account. There's those things that we do. We actually put them on a Trello board. So I told you I'm an agile coach. Some of you tech guys know what that means. We use a Trello board, a Kanban board, and we put those tasks. We have those things that you want to do. We put them in the Trello board, and every week I task you with these things. Go do this. Come back. How did it go? Give you feedback and coaching on to keep you moving forward, to kickstart, to get you back in your love life.
Yeah. I love that. You've got a plan. It's organized. It's laid out for them. It's not a mystery. It's not mushy gushy stuff, and they can see it. And I think that's awesome. And awesome. It's right up here on the screen. And they can book a call with you if they want to chat about it, which is great. And everybody should do it regardless of how they're feeling about it, because it's important for them to talk through it. And here you go. You can book a call with Janet. Her link right there. bit.ly/geek date call. But what's awesome though is that, guys, this is not a one size fits all, and Janet just said it. Like, it really is layers, and you don't have to know what your issue is yet to know that you can start working on it. Like, that's what you're here for, and you can help with that. And oh, by the way, get out of your own way. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. And oh, by the way, like, you don't have to feel all the feels all the time if that's not what you are comfortable with. Maybe you're more A-type and you just prefer the more, that side of the brain, and that's fine. But hey, if you still want to be with somebody, you got to dabble in there a little bit, and that's what you're going to show them. So I love all of your programs. I'm obsessed with everything that you do, and I love it, and I can't wait for everybody to chat with you and do that. Any other tips that you have for geeky daters this turkey holiday while they're alone and home and sad and single?
Well, just that, there. I believe it's somebody for everyone, maybe even several people for everybody. You know what I mean? But really, just my big thing would be to stop thinking and start moving forward. If you think about it, but like if you're aware that when you start thinking about something and you focus on it, how it expands.
Right. So
if you stop focusing on that you're single and that what you don't have, and start focusing on what you do have, and look at what a great catch you are and what you can provide, like the great person you are, this connection that you can have with other people. Start focusing on that instead of on the negative, what you don't have, but focus on what you do and what there is the next thing to do to move to have what you want. That's what I would say would be my advice.
Yes, girl, you just stopped me in my tracks. That was so powerful, and it's so true for Thanksgiving. It's like, focus on what you do have, not what you don't have, and that is the perfect tips for allowing someone to figure out what is a good path for them to start. So that was awesome. Thank you so much, and I thank you for coming on and chatting with us. And the night before Thanksgiving, I know it's the night before, but it's really a lonely night for everybody, and so we're so grateful to have you, and I'm grateful to know you in my life, and love you, everybody. Book a call with my girl Janet right here. Bit.ly Geek Date call. Have a wonderful, awesome Thanksgiving. And
thanks, y'all too. Everyone,
love you, girl. Yes. All right, Janet. Bye, girl. Good to see you. Bye. Awesome. Yes, love Janet, love everything she says and does. And as you can see yourself, she just approaches dating and relationships from such a real, authentic place, because that's really what it is. We're all humans at the end of the day. And even though we are incredibly different and complex, there are some basic elements about us that are the same. And once we identify that and we don't overcomplicate them, like Janet said, and we don't overthink them the way Janet said, all of a sudden these things aren't problems, and in fact they have solutions before you even processed that they were actual solutions. So on this night and I think Janet said it perfectly, the theme of tonight, the theme of how do you move forward when you're not someone who is the crowd pleaser or knows how to work a room, really focusing on what you do have. What do you know about yourself? And especially when you're thinking about, especially in this next question I'll ask you guys, when you imagine yourself in love, what do you see? And that's a real question. Janet talked a lot about knowing what you want. Well, how do you figure out what you want? Well, a good way to start is start with some daydreaming or night dreaming or any kind of dreaming. Literally think about it. What do you see? And this is the part that you're going to write down, and hey, let it go. Stream of consciousness, exercise here. And you write it down, and then you got to read it back and really be real with yourself. If you're thinking about, if what you wrote down was, you guys on a different planet, that's not going to happen in this world. If you wrote something down that was not a lot, if you didn't write much down at all, that's something to be said too. So all of these things will help you move a step forward. And when you think of what you're looking like in love, a lot of people put their parents in that shoe because they don't have their own experience yet. So be careful with that, because even though we do bring some of our parents into our next relationship, your parents are not you. So don't let that inhibit you from creating your own. Just like Janet said, right? Don't bring your past into your future. Don't bring another person into your future. So when you do, when you think about your next relationship, especially into our next question, who do you want to be? All right, let's keep rolling. Who all right. I'm in my relationship. I'm smart. I'm working in my job. I'm not nervous. I know what to do. I'm instinctual. I'm confident. I'm not scared, right? That's really what we're saying here. We're saying I want to be in a day-to-day relationship with somebody where I am not overthinking, I am not nervous to be who I am, and I'm actually happy. I'm actually better, and I'm excited to do all the things I love to do, to go to to do my work and to study and to watch movies and read and sports and whatever. So that is what we're aiming for here, that you could actually open up this world that you have closed off to other people for so long and allow another human to share this weird world in it. Because guess what? They have a weird world too that they're looking to connect with yours. And just a little invitation could make the biggest difference into connecting you with the love of your life, quite literally. Okay, so who do you want to be? Who you want to be? You imagine yourself as somebody confident. You imagine yourself as you're changing the world, that you're making more of yourself. Well, then give that gift to someone else and start writing that down. Did you even think about it? Who you want to be in a relationship? You probably haven't even considered what kind of relationship you want. Now you're considering who you want to be. And then once you've done that, right? You've started in the place with what do you see? Right? Who do you want to be and who do you want to be with? Right? Let's round it out with that question. Who do you want to be with in your next relationship that you either haven't been with before or that you've never been with? I know I'm asking these weird, uncomfortable questions, guys. I know that. But the reality is you have to figure out what you're asking. Realize what you're asking for. This is not a math quiz. This is not physics. Well, it is. It's biology, but you know what I'm saying? Emotions are not calculated the same way. We don't, as humans, we don't sit there and whip out a calculation before we fall in love with somebody. So you have to know that and really feel it and understand the ramifications of it. So you can't approach a relationship by whipping out your calculator to an extent. Now, there are things that you can and you can't. You got to know where your limitations are or where you think your limitations are, right? Identify those and then make an action plan for them. I've already given you an opportunity tonight. You guys know where you can go if you need direct coaching, direct help, direct tools on how to get your life from techified to lovified. And that's booking a call with Janet. But also really what you can be is getting the tools and then heading to meetamatchmaker.com, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But before we do that, I want you guys to hear it from one of our current members. He really doesn't have a lot of experience when he came into our world, and now he's flourishing, but he really was lost, and not a lot of people are talking about it. So I want to put it out there. I want to talk about it, and I want to let you guys know there's people just like you. So let's roll that tape. Let's check out. Talk to me about your love life. Walk me through your last. Have you been in a relationship before? Have you been in love before?
No, I've been in one-sided love before, but I was on Match.com for about a year and a half.
Yeah,
it's a waste of money, so I canceled it. But a serious relationship, because of my social anxiety, has never really worked. So I've never even really tried to get off the ground with it too much. And then one thing led to another, and 12 years later, now I'm talking to you.
Your social anxieties, how does that inhibit you? Or walk me through a little bit about when there's no pandemic, how you roll, like how do you interact with people, if at all?
Well, Facebook.
Cool, perfect.
I don't have a ton of interest.
Okay.
So most of the interests I do alone, which is sporting events, baseball and college basketball especially.
Okay.
I like what I call good, happy musical theater.
Yeah.
And the other thing I used to do, but it's going to be a while now, I don't know if you know, Billy Joel does that monthly residency at the Garden.
Oh, yeah.
I went usually about twice a year.
Oh, wow.
And unfortunately, that's about the extent of my social life.
Sounds pretty exciting to me, though. I'm hearing theater, I'm hearing Billy Joel, I'm hearing baseball, I'm hearing basketball.
Yeah.
You said you were on a one-sided relationship. Now, can you walk me through who this person was?
I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I knew she wasn't interested.
Okay.
But I couldn't shake it. It wasn't just physical attraction.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Was she funny? Was she vivacious? Was she shy? Was she coy?
She just seemed, I guess, down to earth, practical.
Yeah.
I think she got my humor, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But it took me a while to get over it. And then she married somebody who was working at the farm.
Yeah.
She started seeing this guy after she left. And she married this guy. And thankfully, I know he's a good guy. That's what makes me content about the whole thing. That's the only thing that keeps me going.
I'm hearing that you deeply care for this person, and somebody that can be cared for so deeply means that on a real level, this sounds like probably one of the first people that's ever really listened to you.
Maybe, because I'm not a good listener back.
A lot of where love gets very confusing for everybody is that unlike anything else in your life, like there's no real roadmap to it. And in order for you to But there is a strategy though, but there are certain things that you trigger, that you're attracted to, that you're not attracted to, that really bring you to life. And when you can identify the real things versus the non-real things, then your direction becomes a little bit more tangible in terms of how you can approach somebody and not approach someone. And it becomes way less overwhelming.
Well, approaching is always the problem for me.
Of course.
I'm always the guy in the corner by himself.
Yes, but here's the good thing. Everybody's approaching everybody the same way now, which is digitally. So now you're in the same boat as everybody else. Like now you're on an even playing field, which is very exciting and relieving too, because now you don't have the awkwardness of having to go up to somebody in person. If it's really not like it's not working, then okay, just digitally it'll not work out and that's fine. Now that we're in 2020, the amount of people who feel more comfortable being alone and isolated now surpasses the amount of social butterflies out there. Forget this gal who you fell for. How do you want to feel?
I honestly don't know, except that I'm a total stickler to routine.
Okay.
And I guess if I met somebody who I really cared for, I'd be willing to break some of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, part of me likes the life I have now.
Perfect.
Part of me likes living alone. Part of me likes the fact that if I want to go to a Yankee game on a Tuesday night, and it's a cheap ticket and I have nothing else planned, that I can go without asking anybody. Part of me also realizes I'm 38, and all my acquaintances are either married or in relationships.
Yeah.
And, you know, that knocks the social circle down a little bit.
Of course. Let's boil down to what our motivation is. Are we on the phone right now because you're pushing 40, it's about time for you to settle down with somebody and it's that time? Or are we on the phone right now because you're lonely as crap and you're scared and you have no idea what to do? Which way are we leaning?
It's probably a little bit of the second one, but it's probably more of the first one.
Okay. I think what you're mainly going to love a lot is you're going to love our tips nights and our lives that we do about how to approach women and what to say and, you know, like what not to do.
Definitely about that.
Right? You're in a safe community or an open community of like-minded people and like-hearted people. So it's been wonderful meeting you. Welcome to the group, love.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this.
Bye, honey.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You know, he says a lot of really interesting things. And I think what's so funny is that he says a lot of, hey, I like this, but I like that. I like this, but I like that. Black and white, up and down, right and left. You know, and that's okay. And I think that's really eye-opening to all of us that, hey, all of these elements can be true about you, but you have to understand what you're asking for and what you're considering. So you can't be frustrated if you're not clear on what you want, right? So many things. So before we wrap out here, you guys, because it is the night before turkey and I would like to hang out with my own family, of course, but I do want to know for you guys, I always want to poll you and I always want to know what is going on in your head. So question for you before you hit the pillow tonight, a little poll, a little question. When you consider yourself, actually, let me say this again. When do you consider yourself committed or monogamous to someone? So what I mean by this is exactly when you consider yourself mano y mano, in a relationship, you're in the camp of, listen, if we both agree, the label is enough for the end of my life. I don't need to be married. I don't need to be engaged. I don't need to be any of these things. The label's fine. B, you are looking to at least cohabitate with someone, meaning that you're okay with not getting married, but you would like to at least live with someone, like just you together for years until you grow old. Or C, you are looking to get married. You would like all of it to seal the deal. Let us know. Answer in the comments if you are A, B, or C, or all the above. Just kidding. No, please just pick one and let us know why. And so with all that being said, you guys, we talked a lot tonight about what to do, what not to do, what you don't know. And so I think the simplest thing to ask, what is your next step? I always like to ask, what is your next step? Because the worst thing you could do is nothing, right? And again, like we said, always, you don't have to know the solution before you make a next step. You just got to know that you need the help or you need the step. And you got to get your ego out of the way, right? Because whether you're a guy or a girl, or you don't identify, listen, knowing yourself and self-awareness is always the key to attracting a person to you and to them loving you. That is hands down till the end of time, true and real. So in the meantime, for all of you all of you folks with different strokes and folks, head to meetamatchmaker.com. That's where you can find the best place for you. You can join our community. You can ask questions. I bring in all my friends, like you say, you see here. They bring you into their communities, and you can meet great people that way. We run background checks on anybody that you're dating online, so you can make sure that you're dating somebody real and safe and not getting scammed. But mainly, it's just tools. It's resources. It's a place for you to get your questions answered, to meet the right date pro, to help you get what you want to go, and also to meet somebody real, somebody local, and somebody that you can actually connect with and not be stuck on Thanksgiving again alone, which I know totally blows. So to recap tonight, your next step is to either, number one, head to meetamatchmaker.com if you want to chat with me or join our group, or two, if you want to chat with Janet, make sure you go to her bit.ly link, bit.ly/geekdatecall, and she has so many amazing resources, and you can get on the phone with her and she'll lay out everything that she talked about as well to get you on a plan moving forward to get you in love for 2021. All right, you guys, as always, post your questions and comments in the comments below. Share this video with a friend that you think needs it. And as always, keep the love moving around. We can't wait to see you next week. And I will see you then. Have a great Thanksgiving.